Good morning, everyone. I love when technology works now. I'm so excited to do these. I'm no longer stressed out wondering if it's going to work or not. So, oh my goodness. I would love to know where you're logging in from, where everybody's joining us from today. There is Gigi. Good morning. Yeah, it's like, I don't know where everyone else is. We're in California, and I'm really fortunate. Hi, Jessica. In the area where I'm at, San Luis Obispo County, we're like 70 something degrees pretty much year round. It gets warm a few times during the summer, but it was almost 100 degrees here yesterday, and we do not have air conditioner because we don't ever need it. So I thought I was going to die yesterday. It was really touch and go there for a while. Canada, Kansas, good morning, everyone. Oklahoma, New Mexico, Cape Cod. So pretty up there. Good morning, everyone. I don't know if you saw on my Facebook page yesterday, I posted a memory from 11 years ago this weekend. And it was actually Riverside, California. I have family down there. My sister's in Yorba Linda. My stepson and his wife and my grandson are in, where are they? I'm drawing a blank. Lake Elsinore, general vicinity. Gigi, yes, the protest, and I'll go back to what I was saying. The protest, I actually removed that. I had posted, so the protest in DC, I posted it. I don't know the group who's leading it. And then I read your comments and I started looking into it a bit more and I removed it. So thank you for speaking up. You know, I sometimes share things that, hi Doug, good morning from Jersey. I share things sometimes that come through, and sometimes I do it with the best of intention, but I agree there were a few concerns about that. So thank you for speaking up, because I would say, you know, my page started as One Mom's Battle many years ago. I don't consider it my page. I consider it all of our Facebook page. It's a community, it's a village, it's a group. I'll never claim to have all the answers or know everything. That's the beauty of this community. So, Michigan, hello everyone. So yeah, I don't know if I read your memory post and I almost spit out my coffee. I read the end about the welcome back, the book. I cried. So during my marriage to Seth, he was very, he liked Dr. Laura Schlesinger. I can't even say her name. But anyway, that makes so much sense now looking back. And to the point where I followed her. I listened to her. I loved her. Trying to be the good wife. And I even had like a Barbie size Dr. Laura doll. You could push it and it would say all these things. He took me to see her in Santa Barbara at the Arlington Theater, live in person, Dr. Laura. So 11 years ago, Seth and I had been separated for I'd say about 8 months at that point. We were doing a nesting agreement where I would live in the house with the girls all week, and then he would come home Friday night and I would leave and I would go couch surf with different friends. I stayed on my bookkeeper's couch one weekend. I was just bouncing all over the place, whoever would host me. And so every weekend, that was my routine, Friday through Monday or Sunday night. And one weekend, I went out of town to visit my sister down in Orange County. And Glenn and I, that was August of 2009. Seth and I had separated in January of 2009. And I took Glenn down to Orange County to meet my sister. and her family. And we had a great time Friday night. My nephew, my sister, her husband, Glenn, we met up with his kids down there. And Saturday, I get a call from my nanny, Justine, and she was actually moving in that weekend. She had been our nanny for quite a while, and she was going to actually move in and live with us, which I thought was the ideal situation, especially with me being gone on the weekend, that there would be someone there to keep an eye on the girls when I wasn't there. Perfect scenario. Justine snuck away on Saturday night and called me from a payphone in tears. And basically, my ex had, as my car pulled out down the street on Friday night to go to Orange County, he had moving trucks waiting. His aunt was there to help with the girls, and he literally took every single thing I owned, down to my underwear. He took my pictures of my kids, my videos of my kids. I never got those back, and stripped my house bare. Replaced everything with really cheap IKEA furniture, used furniture, fold-up chairs from outside were now my dining room. And in my bedroom was the most disturbing thing I've ever seen in my life. And I'm so thankful that my nanny called me to warn me, so that when I went into that environment on Monday, I didn't react, because that's what he would have wanted. And I walked into my bedroom, and again, thank God she had warned me. He had designed it like a toddler bedroom. I had a toddler bed from IKEA, kids dressers. He had created picture collages of me as a child, hung up weird pink dress-up boas, like I had big little kid dress-up stuff in my room. Just a little girl's comforter. It was disturbing. And then on my bed was Dr. Laura's book, The Proper Care and Feeding of Husbands. Needless to say, I ended up in the women's shelter shortly after that. And it was, looking back, I actually had a hard time reading it yesterday, because I've written about it in my book, I've purged it, but now I'm in a different place where I can actually look back and see how disturbing and terrifying that was. And it was actually a little bit triggering for me. So yeah, it's the lengths that these people will go to. And, I had a lot of people comment and go, my gosh, that probably helped the court to see through him. It did not. The court didn't. They gave him still the same amount of custody that he had. It's just terrifying. So for all of you who are in that place right now, my heart goes out to you. I will never forget what that felt like, and what that whole period of time feels like. You're just in the darkest place, and it's so isolating, because there's very few people you could tell about a story like that, because they look at you like you're crazy. Like, people don't do this. It's so abnormal. And it is. It's not okay. So my ex stole my engagement ring. It was my house. Yeah. It's just, good morning, everyone. I see so many people logging in. So I'm going to jump right to the questions. I actually have a co-parenting group that I'm leading right after this. So I'm going to end right at 8:30 this morning, Pacific time. Don't know where you are, but, so I have somebody helping me with my social media, with my Instagram specifically, and she's doing an amazing job. But she has started posting, so you can send in your questions for Coffee with Tina there also, if you don't want to email them in. And I actually love that format, because it keeps the messages, so many of these messages I'm getting, or questions, require so much background, and it's just impossible to do in a forum like this. So I'm going to be pulling from a couple of these as well. But one of the questions that came through the emails was, how do I reclaim some of my power when I keep feeling so victimized by the court system, when I stand my ground about wanting our court orders to be followed and enforced, it plays into my ex narrative of me that I'm alienating, rigid, hyperprotective mom. I keep following my attorney's advice, but I feel like I'm giving in at every turn, and my ex is using the system to chip away at the protections I've been able to get in place. That is one of the hardest parts of this whole realm to navigate. And, I feel you. And when I put myself back in the situation that I just described, my memory from 11 years ago, it puts me right back in that moment. And, my fine print disclaimer, I'm not an attorney, can't give legal advice. Your attorney is your voice, your advocate in the courtroom. I can only share what I would do if I were to put myself in your shoes, because I have been in your shoes. That was one of the most frustrating parts for me also, is how do you maintain the boundaries that have been set when the court is expecting everybody to sing Kumbaya together and be, positive, good co-parents. And it's such a fine line. And I'll tell you, from my perspective and looking back, one of the things that I say, Yellow Rock communication, presenting yourself. And if you're not familiar with that, I have YouTube videos here on it. Presenting yourself in the best possible light to the court. And, they do want to see everybody singing Kumbaya. Most of them don't understand domestic violence. And we get these court orders, and it's our boundary. And it's validating to have something that's not just our word, because a lot of us don't trust ourselves fully, that it's the court's order. And we take that so seriously because that is who we are as people, as humans. And then when you're told, yeah, but be flexible, it's like, well, no, it's a court order. The judge said this. And, I know for myself, there was a lot of naivety to that, I stuck so firm to that. And they do want to see flexibility in some cases. Every situation is so different. All I can say is, in my case, one of the things that I learned by about year 2 is the need to present as, I want to be flexible. We're just not there yet. And so one of the things that I use in my canned responses, or, that I share with people, is a statement I love. It can be morphed in a bunch of different ways, but, I look forward to getting to the place in our co-parenting relationship where we can be flexible with the schedule. Right now, we're not there yet. And so for the time being, I intend to follow Judge Perry's orders exactly as they are written. In my opinion, when the court reads that, they look at it and go, okay, she's hopeful. She wants to get to that place, but she's citing my important court orders. And I do feel like it plays into their ego a lot, because we all know judges, most of them are highly narcissistic themselves. And so when I would word things like that, it's my belief that my judge looked at it and goes, I'm so important, she just wants to follow my court orders. Instead of saying, no, I'm refusing to change the schedule with you. Much different tone between the two of those. And same goes with, I was just writing something for the 12 Months with Tina class I'm doing this year. And one of the things that I wrote was, I look forward. So the scenario was that the ex wrote and said, I'd love to come to Gianna's gymnastics practice on Tuesday. It's her parenting time. It's not a, end of year event. It's just gymnastics practice. It doesn't really involve the parents. And so my response in that scenario would have been, I look forward to getting to a place in our co-parenting relationship where we are able to attend practices and things like that together. But right now, with the level of conflict, I don't think it's in Gianna's best interest to have us both there. But kumbaya, I look forward to getting to that place. And then I went on to say, I didn't write that part, but I went on to say, I encourage you to attend her end of the year event for gymnastics. It's on December 8th. I just added it to the Our Family Wizard calendar, so feel free to attend that. She would love to have you there. And so you're ending it on a positive note, those types of things, to where you can maintain boundaries and still present well. But there are going to be times where we have to choose our battles wisely. And I will say that's one of the things I feel that I did well is, I wanted the judge to be able to focus on the really big things, not that we're fighting over who gets to attend gymnastics practice. In that situation, if he would have really pushed it, I would have let it go. Go sit, watch gymnastics, whatever, because that's not what I want the court to be focused on. I had bigger concerns that exceeded me having to breathe the same air as him in a gymnastics practice. Even right when I had been out of the women's shelter, that was still my mentality, is I want to free the court up. Because I look back at the first year or so of my court orders and or my court transcripts, and I cringe because I was in such a place of trauma. I was not thinking strategically. I was thinking survival. And so I didn't choose my battles wisely. I was still naive that the court would see what I saw or would see through him. But when you put on your strategy mindset, I had to go, you know what? It took me over 6 years to really see behind that mask. Why am I expecting the court to do it in 1 year? The court doesn't know me and they don't know him. So why would I expect them to take my word at face value that he is the monster that he is? It's on me, in my opinion, to prove to the court who he is, to let him prove to the court who he is. And that's where that strategy mindset comes in. And it's so hard to get there when you are in survival mode. And that's why educating yourself, desensitizing yourself, working with a really good therapist and a really good attorney who understands what you're up against. Attorneys' biggest nightmare is someone coming in saying, I'm divorcing a narcissist. That's the overused word in the family court system. I cringe, a lot of times. So I can only imagine. And the reality is, and the attorneys know this, the court doesn't care, even if the person is a diagnosed narcissist. So that's where our strategy mindset goes. They don't care. What can we do to show how this person is affecting our kids, to build those patterns and show, and, it's on us. We're in a court system where the mentality is that we chose these people to have kids with. It's not their problem to fix. Again, that's not right, but it's very much the reality of the system. So let's see, when did the judge, kind of reading some of that is a $2,000 job, Tina. Yep. So lots of good comments. I love this community. I love all of your comments and sharing and supporting each other because it's so important. We all know how isolating this feels. So I'm going to take a question from the Instagram stories. What are the successful strategies for getting the judge to rule on less than the 50-50 split? So we're all in a 50-50 court system. I don't care what state you're in. Even if your state has still not completely grasped 50-50, I do believe it's still the mindset and the mentality that a lot of them are moving towards. the majority are 50-50. I tell people all the time, if I were just starting out my journey in court and let's say, God forbid, the judge did rule 50-50, in my mind, that is my starting point. Okay, that's where I start and that's where I'm leaving the gate. I don't believe, and I will not accept that that's forever because I don't believe that's in my child's best interest. So I'm a big one of going, okay, I'm a realist, but I'm an optimist. And I feel like that was really helpful to me in this journey where, okay, that's what I got to work with. I'm going to chip away at it. I call it the chip away mentality because I will never accept that 50-50 is what's best for my kids. And I'm going to get hate mail now, but I'm not even a fan of 50-50 with two healthy parents. Unless the kids are older, the kids are involved in that decision. I know how it feels to travel. And when you're bouncing from a hotel to a hotel and living out of a suitcase and you never feel settled, I come home and it takes me a full week just to feel settled in. I cannot imagine that being my life. And my life started in the family court system at 6 months old. And I am so incredibly thankful that my dad had full custody because I got to sleep in the same bed every night. He was the healthier of my two parents. And I don't think it's acceptable to make kids bounce back and forth. That's why I tried to do a nesting agreement with my ex-husband, as crazy as he was, because I wanted my kids to sleep in their own bed every night. And it got to the point where it was unsafe, obviously. But, 50-50 is just, here's what I will say. From an advocacy standpoint, pay attention to what's going on in your local government. If you see that a 50-50 bill is coming down the pipeline, get involved, write letters, grow your community. And, that's where the state chapters of One Mom's Battle come in so handy. You have to align with people in your state. You have to know what's going on. Anybody who knows me knows I am not a fan of fathers' rights groups or mothers' rights groups. And the reason is it creates a division and it muddies the water. This should be about kids' rights. But I will tell you, the fathers' rights groups are large. There's a lot of money involved in them, and they're passing laws and legislation that is not in the kids' best interest. And I cue the hate mail. I'll get it now. I don't care. We're in a country that is more focused on parental rights than kids' rights. And so please, please, please get involved. If you don't know how to get involved with your OMB state chapter, go to the One Mom's Battle website, click read, click blog, scroll down, you'll see a post that has a globe and it talks about worldwide chapters. It will give you step-by-step on how to get involved in your state chapter. So chip away mentality, that is my answer to that 50-50. It's a marathon and you got to brace yourself and not accept something that's not in your kid's best interest. And last question, because we're almost out of time. How did you remove your emotions in court when it came to your kids? Some days it was easier than others. One of the things that I share is that many times, especially after my blog got traction and our Facebook page took off, I will tell you, that having people from all over the world send me messages before court, cheering me on, posting on the Facebook page, supporting my kids and I. There were times I walked out of the courtroom and I would look at my husband and say, I feel like a complete fraud. I have all of these people around the world putting me on a pedestal, thinking I'm this amazing warrior mom. I was a complete show in there. I couldn't even form a sentence and I totally blew it. And that's okay. I'm human and so are you. These are our emotions. They are best reserved for outside of the courtroom. Our reality, whether we want to admit it or not, is that we are in a very male oriented court system, government system. And especially when you're dealing with judges who are and attorneys who are trained to shut off their empathy, if they even have any, our emotions stand out, and that's where we're giving them the opportunity to paint us as hysterical helicopter parents who are out there alienating our kids at every breathing moment. And so emotions stand out. I would meditate before court. I would pray before court. I would wear some type of a bracelet if I was on the stand, and I could just take it off and switch it from one hand to the other, kind of as a tactile, like center yourself kind of thing for me. I'd carry a picture of my kids, and that was my mama bear check-in. They are depending on me to present well, to hold it together. I have vomited in the bathroom at the courthouse. I have had a panic attack in the bathroom at the courthouse. And then I powder my nose and I walk out and I try again. There's no rule book for this, but we have to do our best. Our presentation is under an absolute microscope. I don't think that's right when it comes to what nature intended for us as moms to protect our kids. And I apologize to the dads who are joining us today. I speak from personal experience. But I'm very pro healthy father. I'm very pro healthy mom and pro kids. But, nature intended for me as a mom to protect my kids. When I am walking into an unsafe situation where my kids' lives are on the line, that's family court. That is triggering, terrifying, brings out everything that nature intended for me to do, to react, to protect. But unfortunately, it is used against us. So a good therapist is critical. You have to have a therapist who understands narcissistic abuse. The beauty, the blessing in the pandemic is that, boy, did it just open up our options. If you were previously limited to someone in your town, you can jump on Zoom with someone 300 miles across the state. So find a therapist who specializes in narcissistic abuse, who is educated in trauma, really, really, thanks, Doug, really, really goes above and beyond to stay up to date on trauma, domestic violence, all of those things. It's absolutely critical. My therapist told me at one point, if your anxiety that I'm feeling right now is coming through when you're doing custody exchanges, you're screwed, because you're going to be accused of transferring your own anxiety to your kids. And so you need to step up and be the rock that they need you to be. Your kids don't need this, in their lives, and it's going to be used against you. That was such a wake-up call for me. That was the first few months of my custody battle when I was, in a really dark place. But it was a wake-up call for me. Our kids need us to be their rock. And whatever you need to be doing, to work towards that is so important. Therapy, medication. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. Looking back over my journey, just in recent years, I went on antidepressants for a year. I needed that pause button to give my system a chance to reset. I literally marked my calendar. I'm going to do it for 1 year. I'm going to reset my system. And, it was not a great path. I'm not somebody I don't love medication. I don't even like taking ibuprofen, but I knew I needed it to cope and to reset. And there's no shame in that at all. I'm very open about sharing that. So whatever it is you need, meditation, I wish I would have discovered it early on in my custody battle. Whether it's 15 minutes in the morning, my therapist once told me, RPM, rise, pee, meditate. literally in that order. Get up, go to the bathroom, and then even if you have to sit on your bathroom floor for 5 minutes and meditate, it can reset your whole day or start your day off on a really good path. So I encourage you to fill your toolbox with whatever works for you. So thank you everyone for joining in. Let's see. Yeah, Cliff, you're right. There are absolutely, and that's why I try to issue that disclaimer. 99% of my clients, of the people I help, are women. But again, I was raised by my dad, and I cringe to think where my life would have gone had my mom raised me or even had 50-50 custody. So I am very pro-child, very pro-healthy parent. So thank you to the dads who joined us today and all of you amazing moms. So take care, everyone. Happy Saturday.